David Anthony. Thanks for checking out MotoAmerica on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and comment.
The Potawatomi Native Americans first named this picturesque piece of Wisconsin land Elkhart Lake, after the body of water which surrounds it and resembles the heart of an elk. Improbably, this sleepy village of less than 1,100 people has become best known for the art of motorsports, where the early 50 street course races would draw over 100,000 fans. Now, one weekend each summer, MotoAmerica brings the undeniable roar of superbikes to Elkhart Lake and its sprawling motorsports home, Road America. The faces and names have changed to Gagne, Petrucci, and Skoltz, among others. But the early June goal remains the same: win at Road America and set a course for a national championship. MotoAmerica Superbikes is next. You're locked to the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. The round is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Road America. It's our fourth round for 2022 from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and the famed Road America racetrack hosts us. Hello everyone and welcome to the Medallia Superbike class. I'm Greg White and we are setting the stage for what is promising to be a spectacular Medallia Superbike race. But where are we now? Last time we were at VIR 2 weeks ago, points leader and MotoAmerica rookie Danilo Petrucci, the former MotoGP rider, well, he hit the deck really hard, over 160 miles an hour at the checkered flag, and he sustained some injuries, went back to Italy to get treated, and he's back in the U.S., and he's with our very own Hannah Lopa right now on the grid.
That's right, Greg. It's been just under 2 weeks since that high-speed crash at VIR for Danilo Petrucci. Danilo, you've had a little bit of time to try and rest. How are you feeling, and are you up for the task of this challenging road course?
It has been tough last week at home because with all the wounds and the burns I got on my body, it was difficult to rest. And yeah, I have a broken fibula, so it was difficult even to walk. But yeah, I'm getting better. We are facing a problem with our engine brake since VIR on Saturday. Seems like today was a little bit better. And yeah, yesterday was not easy to learn the track with these issues. But anyway, we are ready. We'll see. For sure, I will try to enjoy this track.
Well, enjoy it out there, guys. Looks like Danilo Petrucci is looking for a bit of luck today.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for some luck. And now I'd like to welcome in Jason Pridmore, two-time national champ. Jason, you've been in the situation where you had to race with injuries in the past. From what you just heard from Petrucci, what do you think?
Well, I think the burns are actually worse than the broken fibula, if I have to be honest, because it makes it really hard to get in and out of your leathers, and it's when you're moving around on the bike a lot, those burns, it's not very pleasant. So the fibula is a problem, but we have been able to see Danilo walk around, which thankfully after that high-speed crash, he was able to do so. So the fact that he had to learn this track, I think it's the hardest track on the schedule to learn for this reason. It's 4 miles long, a 40-minute session. You don't get a lot of laps, so you don't get to see a lot of repetition. He's done a tremendous job to do that.
He certainly has. And the rider who's only 4 points behind in the championship is Matthew Skoltz, and he's with Hannah right now.
And Greg, Matthew Skoltz will be starting in fourth from the second row today. Matt, how crucial is this start and these opening laps in order for you to stick with these Yamahas that are just ahead of you on the grid here?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been struggling for pace since the opening practice on Friday, so I need to get a really good jump and try to hang on to Jake and Cam. Obviously, the Ducatis and the BMs are a hell of a lot quicker than us on the straight, so need to try to create a pretty decent gap early on and see where we can do from there. Just hoping to have a good race.
Best of luck. Thanks, Matt. Guys.
All right, so Matthew Skoltz sitting second in the championship, but the number one plate, Jake Gagne, he is on the move. He's only 13 points now adrift, where he started off the season with hardly any points, and third in that championship, and he is on an absolute tear. As we take a look inside the numbers for Jake Gagne, this is the story, Jason. First 3 races, he only scores 16 points. The last 3 races, 75.
Yeah, and you know what this guy does when he starts to get on a run? He just puts them together. He shows up at these racetracks, Greg, with one thing in mind. It's just to dominate. And so far, this weekend, he's done that. 2:10.6, the only rider to get himself into the 2:10s to set that pole position time today. So he's going to be going after it as usual, and that 13-point lead, he's still got a little deficit he's got to get to.
And the riders get to get after one of the best road courses in the United States, Road America.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's not changed a lot. There's been a few changes 20 years ago, 15 years ago or so with the chicane down that back straightaway to Canada Corner. But turn 1, very important. Turn 3 to get out of there. Draft, a lot of drafting on those 2 big straightaways you see down to the famous carousel, turn 9, 10. But from 11 to 12 down into Canada Corner, you could see some late break in there towards the end of the race. Through 13, 14, and that run to the checkered flag is straight back uphill. A lot of people don't notice that by watching on TV, but it's a good run up a hill to the checkered flag.
And now we get a personal look at Road America from Roger Hayden, who's got a Ducati, and he's hosting our Ducati Fast Lap.
I'm on board the Ducati V4S here at Road America. And let's look at some key points at this long, fast track, starting at turn 1. Really hard braking. You see a lot of guys making a pass into here, pulling out of the draft early. Then turn 5. One of the most fun corners on this whole track, but it's also really tricky. You can get sucked in the draft, and then also it's downhill braking, so you'll see a lot of guys running wide. And then maybe the most important corner, turn 14. It is so important to get a good run out of this last corner because that is the run to the flag.
All right, we are 4 minutes away from race start, and Cameron Peterson sits second on the grid. He's looking for his first win of the season. Can he get it done?
Medallia Superbike coverage is sponsored by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
Medallia Superbike starting grid for race number 1. Starting grid for race number 1 for Medallia Superbike, Jake Gagne, 2:10.617 on pole. Almost a track record, JP.
Yeah, and then you got Cam Peterson, Petrucci there in third, Schultz, Hector Barbara, and PJ Jacobson. Really nice work from the Tytler's BMW guys there, only to be a second or so off. Ashton Yates, Hayden Gillum, and Jake Lewis. Then you got Richie Escalante. Yep, Larry Pegram is back. Good to see him. He is riding a third Tytler's BMW with David Anthony rounding out row number 4. Travis Wyman, Corey Alexander, and Jason Farrell, along with Max Flinders, Jeff May, and Andy DeBrino back there in row number 6 as Rabobier, Gerardo, and Michael Gilbert, Posh, Lampkin, and Danilo Lewis. And then a little bit further back, Greg, we got Kuna, Waters, and Hunter Dunham, along with Jeffrey Perk, Justin Meast, and Aaron Rissinger.
And the final 2, Butler and Coffey, so 32 riders qualifying. Let's always close racing here at Road America. Isn't that true, Hannah?
Greg, you're absolutely right. Before we get started here, it's worth noting that MotoAmerica sees really close racing across all of our classes and the occasional photo finish, and that is no exception here at Road America. Because of the final drive up the hill here, it is an absolute draft battle to the line, and no spoilers, but we just saw something close to that in our last race. Now, MotoAmerica does not mandate where our teams put the transponders on their motorcycle. Some a little further forward, maybe on the forks, some as far back as the tail section. So the most important thing for us is to have an efficient way to determine the results when 1,000th of a second is the difference between losing and winning. There's a camera at the start finish line, and I talked to Jason Kingham from Timing and Scoring, and he told me it's not actually taking a photo, but a single pixel scan. It captures about 10,000 frames per second. So we get the most accurate visual of who's going to win this race more than a regular photo per se. Now, the finish line's especially important because there's several different places. It looks like we're off for this race here, guys.
Yeah, it certainly is. 12 laps to go in this one as we await the finish. 12 laps away, and it looks like Cameron Peterson on the 45 has got a good launch, but Petrucci's trying to go up the inside, and he does. So Danilo Petrucci, at least for the moment, but it looks like he didn't. He was able to hold back onto it. So Petrucci, after all that talk of the injury, is going to lead us in this one on the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York Panigale V4R, and here comes.
Look at the drive Gagne got out of turn 3, and what these guys don't want, Greg, is they don't want Gagne to lead through turn 5 and lead him through the infield on that first lap, and you can see he's very protective. Petrucci goes he looked like he was trying to go across him, and he runs them both wide. As you can see there, Ashton Yates goes wide, Gagne goes down in the gravel.
So Gagne tips it over. He's trying to get the bike up again and get moving and try to get some points.
Wow.
But that was a braking duel down in turn number 5 that didn't go well for either rider. And so that's leaving Cameron Peterson, your second place qualifier, out front to lead this race in his first year on that fresh and lean Progressive Yamaha Racing R1.
Yeah, you can see Cam's doing a nice job. He was very fast yesterday in qualifying, was a 45, and he has just seen the two guys that would probably be his main nemesis in this race take each other off the track down into turn 5, and now Schultz is going to be the guy who wants to try to go with him. The two Tytlers BMWs of PJ Jacobsen and Hector Barbera run 4th, 5th, and Petrucci did a really nice job keeping that Ducati on track enough to salvage himself back into 5th. Jake Lewis just behind.
Tytler's Cycle Racing BMWs, local here just up the street in Green Bay, the dealership, and they're having a great run at it. The two riders sitting in 3rd and 4th. It's early days as Danilo Petrucci and Jake Gagne got together in turn number 5 early, and Petrucci trying to make a move to take over 4th, and he'll go around Hector Barbera and grab the spot. Here comes the mighty horsepower of that Ducati up the front straightaway at Road America.
Look at Hector Barbera, though. Looks like he's going to try to go back past that Ducati, Greg, as they come across the line for the first time. Tytler's BMW rider number 80 there did get up alongside, but wasn't quite able to make that pass. Petrucci's going to slot himself into 4th. I'm going to be looking out the window here. As you can see, Greg, Petrucci moves over to the left as Gagne is kind of moving over to the right. Gagne looks over to see who it was. But the biggest problem is that Gagne ends up going through the gravel and then ends up falling over in it. If he could have just kept that bike upright, we're going to look back to see he gets back on track. How far back is he, Greg, as they get ready to we're into lap number 2 now. Gagne, I believe, has gone across the line. I'm waiting to see on our screen if that is the case.
And that would have been probably back in 29th position. Gagne rejoined that race. Matthew Schultz, 2:15.9. Westby Racing, Yamaha R1. So we have two South Africans out front being chased by number 66 PJ Jacobsen, originally out of New York. And then, of course, the Italian, the points leader, Danilo Petrucci. And with what happened with Gagne, it's all about that Schultz-Petrucci battle, as Schultz has the ability in this race to possibly lead this championship after this race is over. There's only 4 points difference between those two. And Jay, 1st to 2nd is 5, but 2nd to 3rd is 4. So as we go down the points list, the gap in points from one position to another starts to shrink until we get to 1 each after 5th. 5th to 6th is 1 point difference, 11 points and 10 points. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I'm sure we'll see the virtual championship come up at one point during this race. But it's Cameron Peterson on that fresh and lean Progressive Yamaha leading the way from Matthew Schultz, Westby Racing. Tytler Cycle, BMW in 2nd place of PJ Jacobsen. It's great to have PJ back, and he's been really riding well this weekend.
Riding great.
Yeah, qualified in 6th position. And then our points leader, Danilo Petrucci, on that Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York Panigale.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see now that Panigale is going to get into the slipstream of PJ Jacobsen. PJ is one of the smaller riders that we have, especially in all our categories, but Superbike especially. And you can see Petrucci goes up underneath him, and he did that from a long way back, by the way, Greg, because he was in the draft, but PJ got down that straightaway really nicely. Now he's going to have to go to work and see if he can do something with the number 9. You can tell the Ducati looks like it gets into the corners just a little bit better, as Hayden Gillum has ran straight and looks like he's gone down in turn number 1. He's up and got the bike rolling again through the gravel. I believe it's turn 1, or is it the last corner, Greg? I'm not positive on that. Looks like it could be the last corner actually. Now here's Gagne, Greg. Gagne is going to be trying to get through the pack as quickly as he can. Looking at his lap time, that last time by, a 2:12.3 for Gagne. As you can see, he's going to be trying to pick riders off as quickly as he can. He's got to get up in that top 15 for points, which we know he's going to be able to do. In relation, 2:12 flat was what Matthew Schultz did that last time by, so he was only 2/10 off going through, guys. As he gets out of turn 5, you can see the leaders going off into turn 8 on the left-hand side of our screen before they go down into the carousel.
So Jake Gagne, if you're just joining us, ran off the track on the first lap in an incident with Danilo Petrucci. ran it into the gravel and tipped it over. So left part of your screen is that leader, Cameron Peterson. He's got his countryman, Matthew Schultz, all over the back of him. As Schultz's wife, Cara, now back in the mix. They got married in January of 21, and since they got married, because of COVID protocols and the fact that they're in South Africa, that his wife, he's only seen his wife for 2 months, Jason. She's now here in the U.S. full-time, and Schultz with a refreshed attitude and a smile on his face coming to the race at the beginning of the weekend. Of course, we talked to him at the top of the show, Hannah did, and Matthew Schultz trying to figure out this R1 here at Road America. And we have quite a battle on our hands as Petrucci starting to settle into that gap. Doesn't look like he's closing anything at the moment.
Not yet. These two Yamaha riders have done a nice job up at the front. They know each other very, very well, Matthew and Cam both. And I think that for Matthew, for him to be fourth right now, or second right now, coming from fourth on the grid, he's got to be pretty happy and content with where he's at. He's going to be close enough as they come out of here in turn one. And look at Petrucci on the brakes. That Ducati really looks good on the brakes. I don't know if he got out of there as well. That last time by, Danilo Petrucci goes 2:12 flat. Fastest lap of the race for that number 9. I really like what I see from that motorcycle as it tips into the corner speed. You can see he can gain a lot of time. He just releases that lever, carries a lot of corner speed. Matthew Schultz in the draft to Cam Peterson as they go back down. Great aerial shot from the Lucas Oil helicopter there. Down into turn 5, where all the heavy braking comes. The two Tytler's BMW guys have now been dropped back just a little. 2:11.8 for Gagne, now up to 19th place, and a little quicker than the fastest lap of the race by Petrucci last time through.
What a race we have on our hands. I know a lot of the fans have been waiting to see a heads-up race between the number 1 Jake Gagne and the number 9 Danilo Petrucci. It's not forming up this particular race, but we've seen Petrucci and Matthew Schultz battle when we were at Virginia International Raceway. And so this continues on as Petrucci has his girlfriend, Letizia, in the mix here this weekend. She's going to be here for the next couple of races when he came back from Italy. And also Petrucci told me that his mom might come watch some racing here later on this year.
I'm looking at some splits right now, Greg. 33.8 for Petrucci is a little bit quicker than the other two, but then Cam Peterson does a nice job through sector 2 and is quicker there as they head down to Canada Corner, where there's more heavy braking. But these three guys now have separated themselves. Hannah?
Cam Peterson has said for a long time, you know, he got that race victory last year in the rain, and he's been waiting for a race win in the dry. And talking to him, he seems really confident, really calm. He said he's feeling more connected to the bike this weekend over Virginia. He's just trying to trust the process and not rush into anything. You know, watching VIR back and looking at the data, he really wanted to focus on braking here this weekend, and he has a much better feeling. They lowered the front a little bit softer, but he has more trust in the front end as a whole.
Yeah, and that's really critical as they get towards the end of the race, when he needs a motorcycle that he can race with, especially here at Road America, Jay, because we know that the places where you want to attack can be hard braking areas, like turn number 5 is a good example, into the chicane. And so Cameron Peterson and of course Richard Stamboli, his crew chief, thought long and hard about what they were going to do to make this bike more raceable, as they felt they were struggling at VIR. And the other thing that's really important in this situation here is we've seen Cam not get the best starts, and his early laps have been to his detriment in a lot of these races. Right now, Greg, he's done a really nice job of pulling the leaders along, but basically setting the pace out front. 2:12 flat. Oh no, he runs off straight. So he outbraked himself into turn number 5. That's Cameron Peterson, as he is taking the long way around, and all of a sudden, the fresh and lean progressive Yamaha racer took it. Oh. And yeah, I was going to say, he wasn't trying to get that bike stopped, so something has happened to that motorcycle, and he is out of this race. And all of a sudden, just like that, we have our championship leader and second place in the points by 4. The sharp end of the spear getting after it as Matthew Schultz and Danilo Petrucci. Boy, Petrucci put himself in a position, Jason, where people are just falling out all around him, and he's pushing hard at 2:11.7, fastest lap of the race for Petrucci. Yeah, you can see here as Cam's trying to get down through the gears. Obviously something's not happening there. He's either lost some power or whatever, Greg, and he does run straight, and Schultz and Petrucci are going to see that go through
and now they are out on their own. You can see the BMW back there of Hector Barbera is got through to third. Now you can say what you want about the speed of this Ducati, Greg, but I'm super impressed again with the braking capabilities of what Petrucci's doing. We heard him talking about that engine management system as far as engine braking going into the corners. We called the first race at VIR and we couldn't believe how hard he was braking into there, and he came back and told you that the reason for it was because of some of that engine braking. It wasn't necessarily there, as Matthew Skultz runs a little bit wide down out of that last corner. He has a look over his shoulder and sees the Ducati. He's going to get a good look at it now as it goes by him up that front straightaway. But that was his, it looked bad there, and you can see Matthew has another look over his shoulder.
I wonder if he's experiencing something on the bike, because that's a little bit strange. I mean, that was a lot to lose on that straightaway.
He got a little bit wide in that last corner, Greg, and lost his drive.
And also, looking over your shoulder there. So I guess Skultz has a look back. All eyes forward. So next thing you know, Danilo Petrucci, who comes in here off an injury, was supposed to test that pit race after VIR, but injuries got him on an airplane. He flew all the way back to Italy to get care and came back to the U.S. to race. Now he finds himself in the #1 position. Here's a look at Gagne.
P10.
P10 last time by the stripe for Jake Gagne. 2:11.9s in traffic. So he's getting those points back that he's given away. And Gagne knows better than anyone that to win a championship, you've got to grab as many points as you can when they're on offer.
Yeah, his big thing now is he's just got to try to get as much. I'm looking to see where he's at, Greg. He's 18.4 seconds back of the leaders. He's going to be able to get up to Escalante probably, who's 13 seconds behind the leader now. So Escalante is about 5 seconds up the road from Gagne. If he doesn't get held up too much, you can see he's now in the back of David Anthony and Travis Wyman just in front of him. He's going to go past Anthony as they go down into turn 8. Got to think that he's probably going to look at Travis Wyman going down into the chicane, and you can see just up the road from him,
and a pass for the lead. So it was Matthew Skultz who was able to get back by Danilo Petrucci. So after going wide, coming onto the front straightaway and losing the lead, Skultz able to gather it back up and attack on Petrucci. Great job by Matthew Skultz on a motorcycle they've been struggling with. And you can see what Skultz wants out of that motorcycle is to be able to get it spun up. Here's a look at the pass, Jason.
Yeah, it's a great pass. He gets to drive out of the carousel, and he's able to get that number 11 Westby bike stuffed up underneath the inside of Petrucci down into that chicane. So, we heard Matthew talk at the beginning. He said the BMWs and the Ducati have a little bit of pace on him, as you see Petrucci just getting off the edge of the track a little bit there. Now he's in the draft of that Yamaha, and he's going to go back past him, Greg, as they go down into turn 1. But Matthew Skultz is here for the fight, Greg. He is tired of finishing second, as we know. And you can see Petrucci gets in there relatively tight. Matthew's able to carry a little bit more speed through the middle of that corner and get back onto the tail end of number 9 as they go down into turn number 3.
And the good news for Skultz is that he was credited with leading that last lap. So Petrucci wasn't able to get by Skultz before start-finish line. Hannah?
At VIR, Petrucci mentioned he was having electronic issues, specifically with engine braking. They weren't really sure what it was. They had the test at pit race. Gio Krupi came over, and they've had some more help from Ducati Corsa to try and troubleshoot and pinpoint these electronic issues to no avail. So it makes it pretty difficult for him to be consistent from lap to lap. However, every lap he's getting used to this track more. Again, this is another new one for him. But between the electronic issues and an issue perhaps with the exhaust valve, it's making braking really difficult. But he's looking to more laps here to try and work it out.
Yeah, and what I was told just before the race was they removed that valve handling that you're talking about, and so he's actually decided that he wants to control basically how the motorcycle slows down because of that inconsistency, where one time he would go into the corner, it would spit the bike sideways, another time he would go in and it would be straight. So Petrucci in total control of basically the way it brakes. And you can see Petrucci, he got attacked, and he protected the inside line there going into the chicane.
Did a nice job, yeah. And again, you think about it, so many times we hear about, oh, he's not going to have the advantages of knowing the tracks. These guys, there is no home track advantage. Petrucci had this place pretty well sorted, Greg. His lap times in that first session yesterday were so fast.
There goes Skultz.
As you can see, Skultz having a look in Canada corner there at the bottom right of our screen. And so he's learning as he goes. Even with all these laps he's getting now, when you run him in a little bit more anger in the race now, he's getting to see the guys he's racing against and what they're doing and some of the idiosyncrasies and the things that they have learned over the years, their years. He's going to pick up on that stuff as well. But, man, when you ride at the level that Petrucci has ridden at, there's really no home track advantage. He's come here and he's ready to win. And you can see Schultz is able to stay in the draft of that Ducati, which is good for him. It's going to give him some confidence in knowing that maybe he can do something with him somewhere. But man, that Ducati's really good under braking.
Yeah, you just can't do anything in the draft. If you have a keen eye and you've been watching Medallia Superbike before and seen this Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York machine, look at the swing arm as they go through this corner. That swing arm is a new bit that came over from Italy from the World Superbike Championship. They were able to put on this bike. It gives the Ducati a little bit more in terms of length on the wheelbase, and it allows Petrucci to control that motorcycle better. A great aerial support footage provided by Lucas Oil Helicopter. Thank you for these great shots. As Petrucci, you can see the acceleration of that Ducati. It's clear as day on these overhead shots, but Matthew Schultz, the accordion effect, able to reel him in a little bit under braking. As we start to get deep into this race, just to keep an eye on Jake Gagne, he goes up to 6th place past Richie Escalante, a 2:11.5, new fastest lap of the race for Jake Gagne, now with 10 points in his pocket. With Petrucci possibly working on 25 points.
You know, the lap they came through on lap 2, I believe, Gagne was some 19 seconds back. He's got it trimmed down to 16.3 seconds now. As you can see, the two leaders here still going after each other pretty solid are Petrucci and Schultz. Schultz has done a good job to kind of, I think Petrucci's throwing everything that he can at this right now, and I think that Schultz has done a good job to stay there. We saw him have a little nibble down into Canada corner the last lap through, didn't we? So we'll see if he's able to look at down the inside of Petrucci again as they break. Greg, look at, he's just up the inside, but not quite close enough. And here's a look at Gagne. Gagne is coming out of the chicane. Greg, he's really, to be fair, he's not as far behind as you think. You can see nobody up in front of him right now. He does have some time to make up. He's got 5 laps, about 4.5 laps now to catch Jake Lewis. Jake Lewis is about 7 seconds up the road, so he's going to have to gain a little over a second a lap. To put it in perspective, 2:11.5 for Gagne the last time by, 2:13.8 for Lewis, so that position is doable.
Coming across the stripe, 4 laps remain in the Medallia Superbike race number 1 here at Road America. And Danilo Petrucci, your championship points leader, trying to put another 5 in the separator between himself and second in points Matthew Schultz, who's second on the racetrack, the number 11 on the Westby Racing Yamaha. The biggest gap we've seen so far in this race with 4 to go. And Jason, it's just what an effort by Petrucci.
Yeah,
if you've seen the photos of the burns you were talking about earlier, Jason, that he had, and of course he's got the ankle issues and not able to train either for the last 2 weeks as well, going back and forth to Italy, United States, that's got to put some stress on you as well. And then trying to learn this track, as Hannah mentioned, with a bike that wasn't perfect, with some electronics issues, and trying to figure out this racetrack with a motorcycle that was giving you different things each corner was difficult for Petrucci. But obviously he's got it dialed in because he's done some fast laps here, a 2:12 flat, the best time for Schultz, but a 2:11.7 for Petrucci earlier on. Still sitting on the fast lap of the race, a 2:11.5 by Jake Gagne.
Man, Matthew's bike works nicely through the carousel, so he was able to close up a little bit because that gap was getting a little bigger. And like you say, Greg, see Petrucci going there tight again. He doesn't want to let Matthew, or give Matthew an opportunity to go sneaking back up underneath him. So Petrucci, very savvy to that, but Matthew's so good at the bottom section of the track. He was starting to lose a little contact. I was getting worried for him there for a minute, but you can see here Matthew's done a nice job responding back to what Petrucci, the pressure Petrucci put on him in sort of the first 2 or 3 segments.
You see how the rear end of the Yamaha on the Westby Racing motorcycle from Schultz, he likes to steer it with the rear of the motorcycle, and it's been a thing with them as he's able to control that wobble. Onto the front straightaway they go, but Jay, it's about the connection to the rear tire, and Schultz and his team wanted this motorcycle to spin up and finish the corner a little better, and it looks like the changes that they made for this race are paying off in terms of how Matthew likes this motorcycle. Another lap by the stripe, this time 2:12.4, 2:12.3. So the pace starting to drop by about a second. And then it's Hector Barbera, PJ Jacobson, Jake Lewis, and Jake Gagne in 6th place. now only 4 seconds behind Lewis.
Yeah, with 3 laps to go, Greg. Scholz has done a good job here of closing that gap back up. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take a shot this lap. Not sure where that's going to come from. Down here into turn 5 as they get down into this area. Could happen into turn 8 or maybe down into that chicane area again. If Matthew can get close enough, I feel like just by looking at body English, he wants to try to get through on this Ducati. I think Matthew's plan right now would be to try to lead this Ducati and try to pull enough of a gap if it comes down to the last lap. See how good Petrucci is through 6 and 7. He gets that gap out there, and now Matthew's made to be put to work. And we already made comments about how good the Ducati looks under braking, and Matthew's having to close that gap back down there. This is where Matthew's bike works really well, though, down here into the carousel and through it.
But looking at the sector split times, Matthew Scholz goes fastest sector 1 for his personal race, and both of them set their sector 2 fastest splits of this race. So deep into this race, Jason, these Dunlop tires are working really well for both riders as Scholz goes right up onto the rear tail section of Petrucci.
But you got to look at those bikes, Greg, and which one do you think is handling a little better under the heavy stress of acceleration? To me, it looks like the Ducati is able to take it a little bit better than Matthew's bike at the moment. And look, Greg, he's going to have a shot down, or he's looking down the inside. It gets extremely tight down there going into Canada Corner when you're coming from a high rate of speed. And you can look at the Yamaha right now. He's got the thing lit up out of Canada Corner. They're going to come out of this left here, and last lap by, the thing was tying itself in knots as well there. Now he's got to just focus. He's got to have 2 laps to go. It's going to be pretty key now that he stays in this draft, doesn't lose any contact with Petrucci. Let's see what happens. Great aerial view. You're going to be able to see that Ducati just got some legs, Greg, once it goes from 4th to 5th to 6th gear, and that gap kind of stays the same.
Nice little wheelie over the hill for Petrucci. What's at stake for Matthew Scholz? If he can win this race and put Petrucci behind him, all of a sudden Scholz is going to be the leader of this championship by 1 point heading into tomorrow. If not, the gap goes from 4 to 9 points. So Scholz understands the urgency in front of him. His motorcycle, the Yamaha R1, moving around quite a bit more under acceleration than Petrucci's Ducati. Jason, we have about, what'd you say, about a lap and 3/4 to go as they go down into turn number 5. The fastest part of the racetrack here at Road America, almost 200 miles an hour, and then you got to get that motorcycle slowed down a hill. It's absolutely gnarly. And Petrucci, he went in a little wide of the corner, but he's able to get it right back down to the apex.
Don't you feel like it's going to take a big move, though?
For Scholz?
Yeah.
Like a big move.
I think it's going to take a big move. It's going to be having to be something, some sort of block pass, if you will, going down into the chicane out of here. Matthew's bike is better than Petrucci's bike. And those guys at Ducati are going to be watching this video later on and see that the 11 is gaining a ton of time down through here on the number 9 of Petrucci. So whatever they can do to get Danilo a little more comfortable for tomorrow down there, they're going to be looking at. But this is where I think Scholz might try to do something. It's, you know, he didn't do it this lap. So he's lining something up possibly for the last lap. Matthew's going to know, and that's the best Matthew's bikes come out of the chicane too. He got out of there really nicely. I know he's taking a couple little stabs, or at least looks, as you come down here, but you're going up through the gears. You're 155, 160 mile an hour. Matthew's in pretty deep again, but man, it gets so narrow. It's a very big committed pass when you get down into Canada Corner.
Ooh, Scholz trying everything he can to get a good drive and stick with this Ducati. I don't know, Jason.
He's got a good run out of here, too.
He does. Is he going to shove it? No, he's not going to do it. I think for Scholz on this last lap, I think turn 5, he needs to get by him early if he can, as the white flag is going to fly, because he's got to get some gap between himself and that Ducati, because if Petrucci is right on his tail section, he's got the legs to pass him before start finish.
I don't see him being able to get close enough to Danilo going down into 5. And I also think as Danilo gets in there, you can see that he gets in there deep, gets the bike turned. Scholz can roll up on him a little bit in the middle of the corner, but I feel like Danilo is going to be wise enough and close the door going down into turn 5. As you can see, Matthew gets a nice run out of here on our white flag. This is our last lap. So I don't know if he's going to be close enough to go down the inside of Danilo when you get down here to turn 5. Danilo's going to move over to the left. As you can see, Matthew's going to have a stab.
Here comes Matthew Scholz down into turn number 5, and he parks him. So Scholz, just like you said, Jay, that was a block pass. He had about half a wheel or maybe less in front of Petrucci. Great job by Scholz.
Now, the big thing is the one thing that you made point of, you said it was going to happen in 5. He's so good through the carousel. He can literally pull 3-4 tenths, I think, through the carousel, which could be enough. So we're going to see here. They get into 8. It's very important that Matthew gets out of here clean, and he does. The Yamaha looks hooked up. Now he knows he's better than Danilo down through this turn. So if he's able to try to get that little gap, and you can see it starting to spring open, they're halfway through it now. Now he's going to have to be extremely good down here in this chicane. Don't mess up the entry. Get in here clean. Petrucci's still there with a very good shot. Also, Matthew's good down into Canada corner too, but Petrucci's done a really good job, Greg, not letting that gap get too big.
Can Matthew Schultz, heading down to Canada corner, keep a gap? You know he's good on the brakes. He's been looking at more of this inside line. Here comes Schultz. A couple more corners to navigate on this last lap. Petrucci, he dives it in there though. He's able to close the gap, but can he open the throttle? Schultz, this is where he's been spinning. Boy, this is a nail-biter all the way.
Petrucci straight-lined that so much better than Matthew there as they come out into the last corner. Petrucci's going to take a stab at him
so
going
Petrucci,
into the last turn.
They're side by side. Schultz not giving it up. What has Petrucci got? Did he blow the drive? Here comes Schultz. Elbows in, trying to get as arrow as possible. Is it going to be Matthew Schultz with his 5th MotoAmerica win? They come across the stripe, and it is Matthew Schultz to the line in a photo finish. 15 thousandths of a second and 3rd place. As we come to the line, it's going to be teammates Hector Barbera and PJ Jacobsen.
And we're waiting to see. Jake Gagne does come home in 5th place. Wow, we had a battle for 1st and 2nd. We had a tremendous battle between teammates in 3rd and 4th. But for this guy here, man, it's got to feel so good to finally win that race.
15 thousandths of a second. Hannah was talking about it at the top of the show. We expect to see photo finishes here at Road America from time to time. We have. And that one was as close as you like it. Take another look at the finish.
Man, Petrucci tried to run it up there underneath him. I was surprised by that. I thought Danilo probably knew he could draft past that Yamaha up the straightaway, and he got so close to doing it, but good, solid, hard, clean racing as these guys came to the line, and you can see Petrucci pulls out of the draft, but Matthew had just enough to win for that Westby team.
And there's a look at the photo finish, and it's that front line, that leading edge of that white line that determines it. And Hannah mentioned that each team puts their transponder in different positions, so that was the confirmation, as that photo finish is what determines the race. And Matthew Schultz gets his 5th Medallia Superbike race win of his career. He had 2 in 2021, his 1st in 2022. Unbelievable the amount of work in the off-season by the Westby team to get him comfortable. And a look at the race pace, Jason.
Man.
And it was almost, I mean, looking at the race pace, it's almost irrelevant because it really came down to what was going to happen. And Jason, no matter what Petrucci did, Matthew Schultz was not giving an inch in turn 14.
That was a big move in turn 5. You had it called. You said turn 5. I thought it was going to happen in the chicane. But Matthew did such a good job. And you can see here comes Gagne to come up alongside. Matthew Schultz, Gagne finishes 5th. I mean, he's probably looking at Matthew right now saying, thank you very much. Took some points away from Petrucci. And anyways, these two guys obviously get along real well. PJ Jacobsen, Hector Barbera, only 8 seconds back on those Tyler's BMWs. Got to be impressed with that team and the early results they've had this season. They're only going to continue to get better.
Hector Barbera on the podium.
On the podium before, have we? I don't think we have we? So really good to see.
What a treat here at Road America. We have a new race winner this season and a new championship points leader, and we'll talk to him when we return. What a race finish here in Medallia Superbike race number 1 at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, as Matthew Schultz is able to hold off the advancements of Danilo Petrucci. 15 thousandths of a second. Hector Barbera on the podium for the Tytler Cycle team with PJ Jacobsen just behind him. What a race that was. Jake Gagne from last to 5th. Luis Escalante, Corey Alexander, and Larry Pegum. Let's get right down to Hannah with a very happy number 11.
And Greg, we heard Jason Pridmore say earlier today, Matthew Skoltz is sick of second place, and today he stands on the top step of the podium. Quite a battle with Danilo throughout. Once you got around him, what was the strategy? How were you able to hold him off to the line?
I was just braking as late as I possibly could. I knew that he was definitely going to try somewhere. Tried in the final corner. I actually had to release the front brake, like just to make sure that I got my front wheel there. But yeah, I mean, he's a incredible rider, and just to beat him means so much to me, not just actually win, So I'm really happy. I got to say a massive thank you to the Westby Racing team. We've really been struggling here, and I pulled something out of the hat, but hopefully this just continues for the rest of the season, and I'm really sorry to see Cam and Jake had problems of their own. It's pretty strange not seeing Gagne or Cam up here, but I'm sure race 2 will be different, and I'm definitely ready for that fight. But just a massive thank you to everyone who came out. There's a huge crowd standing here, and I couldn't have asked for anything more to get the first victory of the season like this. Thank you, guys.
A very gracious interview from our new points leader, guys.
Oh, yeah. What a great way to win your first one of the season. And he's right. Petrucci is a phenomenal motorcycle racer. And to have Yamaha, Ducati, and BMW on the podium is awesome. Let's get right down to Hannah with Danilo Petrucci.
Second place today goes to Danilo Petrucci. And Danilo, we saw you get together with another rider at the start of the race. Ultimately, you were able to get out front. Tell us about your battle to the finish with Matthew Skoltz.
Yeah, it was really tough week at home, and I'm still really tired after the crash in VIR. I have a lot of wounds and burns in my body, but we managed. Yeah, first lap we brake really hard at turn 5. We go both wide. I was able to rejoin the track and make a good race till the end. Then Matthew passed me really hard, turn 5. It's I need to pull up the bike. It's since Austin that every time he passed me, I have to do like that. But anyway, I will be harder tomorrow, and we'll see. For sure, I have fun.
Thanks, Danilo. Guys?
Well, it's racing, and it's hard racing, and Matthew got down at a turn 5 hard and was able to make that pass. Greg, for me, it didn't look like it was anything too bad, and he'll be back ready to go tomorrow. Well, Danilo, let's get back down to Hannah.
A career first podium today for Hector Barbera, and your first for the Tytler Cycle Racing BMW team. I know you guys have been really working hard to make this feel more like it's your motorcycle, but what was it that really clicked for you out there today?
Yeah, I'm very happy. It's my first podium in MotoAmerica. I want to thank you, my team, because it's working very hard all winter, and I'm very happy. That race is very special because it's a home race for the team, and my team is worked very good all weekend. And after crash yesterday, I repaired the bike very early, and this morning I go very fast. And in the race, I'm funny ride because my bike is help me to go fast.
Congratulations to Hector Barbera.
What a great result. We expect to see him on the podium a lot more. When we return, more coming at you from MotoAmerica.
Medallia Superbike coverage is sponsored by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
Podium celebrations going on, but let's get right down to Hannah, who has Jake Gagne.
And Jake Gagne had a bit of a tip over, re-entered the race around 19th, fought your way to a 5th place finish. How'd you do it?
Yeah, we got in there, me and Danilo, down at 5 with heat, and we both got in there harder than we thought, and played a little game of who could release the brake lever. I just went off in the dirt, tipped over, and I knew I had my work cut out. But luckily, this Yamaha we kept it rolling, and we got some points and had some good pace. So, got another one tomorrow.
Great ride by Jake Gagne, guys.
Always that positive attitude, and you got to love seeing that from Jake Gagne, trying to defend that #1 plate. Okay, we'll be back to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin with more from Medallia Superbike Race 1. Highlights from Medallia Superbike race number 1. And looks like Danilo Petrucci got into a little bit of Matthew Skolt's knee, but it was this run to the checkered flag that said it all, and Skolt's able to get his first victory of the year.
Yeah, he'll learn from that, because I think that the Ducati had the power to maybe draft back past that R1 up the start-finish line. I was surprised to see that move, but it was a hard move, and it was a good try from Petrucci. As you look at the point standings now, we got a 1-point deficit for Petrucci over new leader Matthew Skolt's. Gagne loses some points today, is 23 back.
Can't wait to see what happens tomorrow here from Road America. Will it be dry? Will it be wet? We don't know, but we're definitely going to be here racing, so make sure you join us. For Hannah Lopa and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thank you so much for checking out MotoAmerica Medallia Superbike race number 1. We'll do it again tomorrow.